Hello everyone, so I guess you could call this a channel update. This video is basically to not vent, but to talk about why the fuck content has been so slow. And to the 5 people watching this, yes, I know I only have 350 subs, so I'm not hurting anyone by not uploading. I know that. No one even knows I exist. But listen, this is for my sake, not my 350 subs. I want to upload more because I like uploading, and it's as simple as that. That may immediately come off as selfish, which it is to a certain extent, but think about it from my point of view. Over 90% of my views don't come from subs, and my subs rarely ever interact or have suggestions, so it makes sense to not worry about my subs right now in that sense. But anyways, what is this video about? So I've been brainstorming things to make content on and just hitting a wall every time, and the reason for that is this. I really like talking about horror games, especially AAA or AA horror games. That's like the main thing I like to talk about on this channel. The problem is honestly that my stance on indie titles has changed drastically. Nowadays, I've just become really jaded toward indie games, specifically horror ones, because they take fucking ages to release for, you know, a variety of reasons, Kickstarter, whatever it is. And when they finally do release, they're incredibly underwhelming. And I don't mean 100% of the time, but a good amount of these games release and they're complete trash, and the wait was for nothing. And that's if they ever release. Some of these games literally just get canceled. For example, this game called Routine. It was a really cool looking space horror game that me and a lot of other people were hyped for, and a few years go by, it was never heard from again. People held hope on this game for a really long time, never came out. Do you see what I'm getting at? Like, indie games are so hit or miss, it's insane. And honestly, I'm tired of hoping these games are good just to be burned years later. And if you look back at my videos, most of my horror videos were on indie games, so by not covering indie games, I've lost a huge chunk of possible content to put out. You may be thinking, just cover AAA or AA horror games, and to that I'd say, yes, I definitely will, but how often do we get info on those? Not often at all. We get Resident Evil every couple of years, which is, you know, gets covered to death, and all the other ones just come out so infrequently that it just doesn't really do anything for my channel. So yeah, going forward, I don't know how horror game centric my channel will be, but I'd like to keep it as horror game focused as I can without covering every single indie game under the sun and, you know, going through that whole thing. Don't get me wrong, indie games can be really exciting at times and like promising, like the aforementioned Routine that I brought up earlier. I believe Red Barrels, the people who make Outlast, are an indie company. That one I'm not 100% sure of though. I'm thinking about doing playthroughs of some games, like the new Fatal Frame remaster coming out at the end of this month, because I've never played Fatal Frame and I hear they're pretty good horror games. So the only problem with that is that playthroughs don't really do well on YouTube anymore, but I don't know. I'll see what happens. I very well may just do it anyway. So yeah, I'm not burnt out on YouTube. Quite the opposite, actually. I'm in this position where I want to make content, but I don't know what to make. And if you look at my channel, you'll see I have a playlist called Weird Stories, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's just weird, stupid, or funny stories that I find interesting enough to talk about. These videos I do plan on continuing. I haven't had one in a while, but I really like making them. The only problem is that they don't get many views, which has never stopped me before, and it won't now, but I just wish those videos would reach more people. But anyway, I need a new type of content to put out, like something completely new to my channel that I can make somewhat frequently. So I'll just have to think about that. But going forward, my plan is indie horror games that are actually worth getting excited about, and bigger horror games that aren't covered into oblivion that are also worth getting excited about. I don't know how well that'll turn out for me, but we'll see how it goes. I highly doubt a single soul watched all of this. Not that this was a long video, but I just don't think anyone gives a fuck. But if you did, thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.